Hello, Professor. My name is jiayi507ppt. I will present my research entitled The Influence of the Living Streaming UGC Characteristics and Social Proof on Purchase Intention, the Mediating Role of the Consumer Trust. The study focuses on the living streaming commerce in mainland China and examines how social proof, information quality, and interactivity are related to consumer trust and purchase intention. My presentation will cover 5 parts: the research background, problem statement, theoretical framework, methodology, and key findings. Finally, I will memorize the main conclusion and contribution of the study. Live streaming commerce has become an important part of China's digital retail market. Unlike traditional e-commerce, it combines product demonstration, real-time interaction, social signals, and direct purchase functions in one platform. Consumers can watch products, ask questions, read comments, observe likes, and sell figures, and purchase during the same live session. Platforms such as Taobao Live, Douyin, and Kuaishou are major channels in China. In 2023, China's living streaming commerce market reached about RMB 4.9 trillion. However, consumers cannot physically inspect the products before purchase. Therefore, they rely heavily on information, interaction, and social cues, which makes consumer trust very important. The main problem is consumer uncertainty in live streaming commerce. Consumers cannot directly touch or test the product, so they need to depend on digital cues. At the same time, the live room contains many signals such as view members, comments, purchase notifications, product explanations, and streamer responses. Previous studies often examined these factors separately, so there's still a need for an integrated trust-based model. Another issue is that trust has been defined differently in previous study. Some focus on trust in the streamer, product, sellers, or platform. In this study, I focus on trust in the live streaming sellers, including the streamers when acting as the seller's representative. Therefore, this study examines how social proof, information quality, and interactivity are associated with the purchase intention through consumer trust. This study has 5 objectives. First, to examine the relationship between social proof and consumer trust. Second, to examine the relationship between information quality and consumer trust. Third, to examine the relationship between interactivity and consumer trust. Fourth, to test the relationship between consumer trust and purchase intention. Fifth, to examine whether consumer trust mediates the relationships between the 3 live streaming stimuli and purchase intention. In short, the study examines not only whether these factors matter, but also whether they work through trust. The study is based on the stimuli-organism response framework. In this framework, external cues are the stimuli. They influence the consumer's internal physiological state, which is the organism, and they lead to a behavior response. In this study, the stimuli are social proof, information quality, and interactivity. The organism is consumer trust, the response is purchase intention. So the logic is simple. Live streaming cues influence trust, and trust influences the purchase intention. The research model includes 3 independent variables: social proof, information quality, and interactivity. The mediating variable is consumer trust, and the dependent variable is purchase intention. 4 direct hypotheses were proposed. H1, social proof positively affects consumer trust. H2, information quality positively affects consumer trust. H3, interactivity positively affects consumer trust. H4, Consumer trust positively affects purchase intention. The study also proposed 3 mediation hope size. H5 to H7 proposed that consumer trust mediate the relationships between each stimuli and purchase intention. One clarification is important. Live streaming UGC characteristics refers to information quality and interactivity. It's only a conceptual grouping, not an adoption measure variable. Social proof is treated as a separate social medium. This study used a quantitative cross-sectional survey design. The target respondents were adults in mainland China who had watched at least one product selling live stream in the past 6 months. The study used purposive sampling because respondents need relevant live streaming shopping experience. A total of 202 questionnaires were submitted and 200 usable responses were returned after scanning. The questionnaire included scanning questions, usage questions, measurement items, an attention chat item, and demographic questions. The measurement items used a 7-point Likert scale. The data were analyzed using SPSS, including reliable analysis, PCA, correlation, regression, and bootstrap mediation testing with 5,000 resamples. Before hypothesis testing, measurement quality was assessed. After item diagnostics, the final analysis used an 18-item structure. The clown box alpha value ranged from 776 to 884, all above the 70 benchmark. This shows acceptable internal consistency. The camel value was 864, indicating good sampling adequacy. PCA supported a 5-component structure, matching the 5 constructors of the study. The 5 components explained 72.42% of the total variance. Therefore, the measurement scales were reliable and suitable for further analysis. The result supported all 4 direct effective hypotheses. For H1, social proof was positively associated with consumer trust with beta equals 235, p less than 0.001. For H2, information quality was positively associated with consumer trust with beta equals 211, p equals 0.002. For H3, interactive was positively associated with consumer trust with beta equals 243, p equals 0.001. For H4, consumer trust was positively associated with the purchase intention with beta equals 399, p less than 0.001. These findings show that social cues, useful information, and positive communication all contribute to trust formation, and trust is strongly related to purchase intention. The mediation analysis also supported all 3 mediation hypotheses. For H5, the indirect effect of social proof through consumer trust was 0.047. For H6, the indirect effect of information quality was 0.04. For H7, the indirect effect of the interactivity was 0.045. All 3 confidence intervals did not include 0, so indirect effects were significant. Since the direct effects also remained significant, the result indicate partial mediation. This means that social proof, information quality, and interactivity are related to purchase intention both indirectly and directly through consumer trust. The main conclusion is that consumer trust is the key physiological mechanism connecting live streaming cures with the purchase intention. Particularly, sellers should provide authentic social signals, accurate product information, and positive communication. Platforms should also support transparent sales indicators, reliable comments, and smooth real-time interaction. Overall, this study contributes by integrating social, informational, and interactive cues into one trust-based model in the context of the live streaming commerce. Thank you for your time and guidelines. I welcome your comments and suggestions.